Are you more confident going in, again, it's not political, but are you more confident going into a red state versus a blue state right now?
Yeah, of course. That's actually not new for us. There's a really good video on YouTube where the CEO of Starwood, Starwood Hotels,
Yep.
I think it's a super interview. And he just talks basically about how and why they built the hotels where they built them. And they were all based around, if you think about it, high property taxes, high labor to the unions, and all the different barriers to entry for a particular city or state. And he says red or blue, when we're underwriting anything, or you guys are for that matter, the taxes, the insurance, all those things are a big piece of whether or not you buy somewhere. On a non-political comment, we made the same decision. When you look at Florida or you look at the Gulf area around Texas, you'll have insurance rates that are 3 times what they are in Phoenix because of the hurricanes and the tornadoes and things like that. So the underwriters for insurance have already baked all that into their numbers. And so all of that has to be considered based on, what the expenses are. And then from there, you just look at the rent.
Yeah.
What's the rent? Is it $1,500 a month? Is it $1,200 a month? Is it $2,000 a month? Is it $3,000 a month or whatever? And so then it's just math at that point. But yes, the answer is, from a political standpoint, what I'm more concerned about is actually rent control. So as an example, I don't know if you guys saw what's the current stuff that's going on in Portland right now, that you have to pay for relocations.
Yeah.
Okay, so the government's saying, 1, you can't evict. 2, we're going to cap your rent. And 3, now you have to relocate your tenant. So they're capping your income and they're telling you have to relocate. So, so you have to look at this. And I'm not saying, by the way, that's right or wrong. I'm just saying from an investment standpoint is that you want those barriers involved when you put money somewhere. And we don't. We would rather, okay, Oregon's off the list. Now let's just move, somewhere else, like Boise, as an example, where you can operate a little more free market. If somebody decides they don't want to pay, for their car, you could take the car, but apparently not in Oregon,
Yeah, but the problem that I'm seeing, Ken, is we went to Boise a couple months ago. They have a blue mayor. I mean, they have a Democratic mayor. I mean, it seems like you're getting this urban flight that then all of a sudden they're going and taking the same policies they're leaving. And so where's safe? I mean, that's at the end of the day, so if you're Cole's age, right? And you're starting out young. I mean, what are you thinking long term?
Well, you have to consider that stuff. You really do. Ironically, a blue mayor isn't going to turn a city, quickly. You have to look at the whole picture. But the truth is, we're in Arizona and we have a governor that's Republican. Actually, a very good friend of mine. I was in EO with him. He was actually in my forum. We potentially have an issue where we might turn blue during this election. So we have all those things coming up too. But I think for Cole's standpoint, or any young person's standpoint, you really do have to look at the policies and, the government mandates of what they're going to do in areas. And that has to be considered long-term in whatever decisions you make, especially when it comes to capping your revenue.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, as a young person, I talk about with Elliot all the time, just where I want to live long-term, not just where I want to invest in do real estate, but what do you see as, like, if you could go back to 22 and you were just starting to build a portfolio, would you focus more on those, the Arizonas and the Floridas and areas where people are starting to move out of California, out of Washington, out of Oregon, and you can still, not only it's affordable right now, but long-term, it's going to be a cheaper place to live?
Yeah. But, I think naturally, and I fell into this too, Cole, it's a great question. Like, it happens in Phoenix, Arizona. So obviously the core area, downtown, urban, is going to be more than 2, 3, 4 miles out. And so those are decisions that, in my opinion, have to be driven by who's your renter. A lot of people go chase that cheap deal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then they struggle with trying to get it full and trying to get the revenue to cover it.
I just did that. I bought a cheap duplex in Cleveland about a year ago with a buddy of mine, and one sewer line thing. Thankfully, we got it covered, but it would have destroyed our income for like 3 years in the property. We just sold it and closed on it this week, actually. We got rid of it.
Yeah, but if you buy one next to the Cleveland Clinic, as an example, because of the employment base there, the Cleveland clinics, you can do well in those little markets, those mid markets.